Welcome to another live stream, everyone. Please do me a favor, as always. Let me know if you can see the charts clearly. You can hear me all right. Hopefully, you're all having a fantastic day so far. Well, guys, we ended up getting the much anticipated September rate cut in today's FOMC meeting of 25 basis points. And really, the market didn't respond all that much. To be honest, this is kind of expected as everyone has been banking on rate cuts ever since the new year, basically. I'm just happy the market never absolutely nuked off a cliff. So let's take a look at Bitcoin and some altcoins on several different time frames just to see what we can see in the charts. Honestly, guys, nothing from my analysis in the last few streams has really changed all that much. On Monday's live stream, as well as yesterday in my private Telegram channel, I mentioned that Bitcoin had Trendmaster support as well as the weekly open, basically lining up together here on my 4-hour chart here. So not all too unexpected to see that. Basically just healthy price action, quite honestly. The fact that we're coming back down, the only thing that really happened from that meeting is we ended up pushing down to retest support. This indicator, the MDX Trendmaster, had this support trending for quite a while now. So that's basically why I was mentioning it yesterday. I still believe this is trying to push us up higher towards 120,000 US dollars. So basically, just as it stands right now, I love to see what we're seeing. Just looking at this micro trend as well, basically we had this high here and a higher high and our higher low on the trend. And we never did lose that support either. So to see us come down to that weekly open outlined by the AI charting tools, and like I said, lining up very well with the Trendmaster indicator there. Also, if I pulled a fib, something like this, well, what do you know? We tested the 886 absolutely perfect. So nothing too crazy there. Bitcoin's still looking healthy, if you ask me. And just to bring up another indicator, you guys know I've been mentioning this for a while now, that basically the reason why I'm expecting us to hit at least 120,000 US dollars, obviously we don't have to, we're going to have to see what happens, but that's still my target from my long on September 1st that I took with you guys. Basically, this is my fib pull, just looking for potential resistance. It's not even that I'll be bearish if we get up to that 120,000 US dollars. It's not so much that I would be bearish there. It's just on my radar as start being cautious at resistance, right? That's really all it is. We have to treat resistance as resistance and be careful at those levels not to start FOMOing longs into resistance, just like we don't like to FOMO shorts into support, right? So just important to be aware of that level. Basically, resistance starting around $120,000 and running all the way up to about 127,000 US dollars. So yeah, that is quite a big range, but that is our macro range. That fib is pulled from our all-time highs at this time down to where we bottomed at the start of the month, basically around 107.5 thousand US dollars. So all in all, the trend is looking fantastic. All is good. Perfect. Thank you, my friends. Good to see so many of you here with me once again. Thank you guys for joining me. I love to see a very consistent group of you guys, which means that you guys obviously appreciate what I have to say. If you do appreciate these live streams, you appreciate me showing some of my personal trading strategies and all that sort of good stuff. If you're just pumped on the market in general, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. But yeah, guys, like I said, on the 4-hour, Bitcoin's still looking good here, as well as on the weekly. I've been talking about this support here around 98,000 US dollars. It also, this is just something that I mentioned. I can't remember if that was on my Monday stream, but basically brought up the Trendmaster on the weekly time frame. And this thing has absolutely nailed calls as far as, you know, these long entries, even the shorts. I mean, just very strong signals. And this trend basically has been performing phenomenally. And we still have that support, right? So the fact that my horizontal level of support here on the weekly time frame lines up with the weekly support on the MDX Trendmaster, I love to see that. That's just, you know, it's just great to see that confluence from some of the indicators. So yeah, as I said, I mean, Bitcoin's still looking good. I mentioned that, you know, that we basically tested down to an 886 perfectly. I don't even know if that would be the same one, to be honest. It must be. But yeah, either way, I had this one mapped out. I never even took this new trade on Bitcoin, but good to see that we respected that typical support range, right? So all in all, I mean, as far as the volatility that I assumed was going to come with that meeting, it was actually a lot more calm than I was expecting. I mean, who knows, maybe that changes in the near future, but so far really nothing crazy happened from that meeting with those rate cuts. I strongly believe that's just because everybody has been factoring that in. Everybody's been assuming there was going to be rate cuts for, well, most of 2025 at this point. So not too crazy to think that it may have been priced in a little bit. So yeah, I love to see it. I love to see that nothing's changed with my analysis. I love to see that, in my opinion, I still, like I said, I still think we're on our way to 120,000, if not higher, right? That's just the start of my resistance on a macro time frame. So yeah, nothing too crazy there. Love to see it. And guys, for those of you who, like to trade, market structure, and you like to trade actual charts rather than trading news, trading tweets, all that sort of stuff. I mean, guys, I basically, even when that meeting was happening today, I actually ignored it while it was happening because I find that it can cloud my judgment if I start trying to look at fundamentals and trying to trade a shorter time frame. Yeah, you know what? In the longer time frames, you're looking at the daily, the weekly, absolutely fundamentals matter. But when you're trading something like a 5-minute chart, generally for me, I'm not going to try and trade tweets. I'm not going to try and trade news or fundamentals or anything like that. I just like trading charts. And if that is something that interests you and you want to see more examples of how I pull my fibs, how I look at market structure, some of my trade setup ideas and all that sort of stuff, do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code on the screen. Get in my private Telegram channel there as well. My partners at BloFin are currently giving my followers this special promotion for deposit and trading volume. And yeah, guys, just like I said, I mean, just been some of these screenshots are getting to be a little bit old, but all of these positions I'm actually still in. You guys know I love to ladder into positions. I love to ladder out of positions. And I mean, all of these positions, I still have a chunk running. Guys, I have a handful of beautiful long positions right now running. I always play the range first with my first couple targets, with my first half of my position. And from there, yeah, I'm not banking on home run trades. I mean, if you do that, you're going to get wrecked if you're expecting nothing but straight directional moves, right? So I always trade the range first, but hope that if that home run trade does come, that I'm still going to have some on the table to catch it. And guys, I have beautiful trades. Like I said, I've been in this long with you guys since September 1st, down at $107,580. Ethereum took a long on the 4-hour 786, still running with half that position. We obviously hit my first couple of targets, but the rest of that position still running. Solana still have a position running. Hype still have a position running. Jupiter, I took this one live with you guys as well. And most recently, Pepe position. This one I want to talk about because I got lucky on this one. I actually tried to update my stop loss to break even. I don't know, it must have been because my sell signal was a little bit spotty at the time. But yeah, my stop loss never did update to break even, and that position is still running. But I did end up closing half my position, right? I took my first take profit, my second take profit, and the other half is running. So I have a handful of very juicy long positions right now, and I love to see it, you guys. And guys, I do want to just mention something before I go any further. I've been mentioning for a while, you guys, that I'm going to be slowly transitioning these live streams over to a new YouTube channel. And I know many of you guys are probably already subscribed over there. So I just want to bring it up for a sneak peek here. The crypto trading channel, go ahead and subscribe to this new channel where I will be doing these live streams in the very near future. I will still be with Financial Summit, just under my own new channel. Just trading crypto in general, Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, meme coins, you name it, just anything crypto related. I am here to trade it. So yeah, going to be focused on that. And as well with that, you guys, even though I'm switching channels like that, nothing is going to change in my Telegram, maybe the logo, if anything. But other than that, you don't have to worry about changing the partnership, anything like that. I'm still partnered with BloFin, still powered through Financial Summit, all that stuff, you guys. But do yourselves a favor and just subscribe to that channel. Next week, I will probably start doing half and half, where I'll start on this channel and then move over to this new channel to start doing my streams. And by the end of the month, start of next month, I plan on streaming full time on the crypto trading channel. So again, do me a favor, do yourselves a favor, subscribe to that channel. With that being said, guys, like I said, Bitcoin's still looking fantastic. We are getting a nice little reaction here. So I want to check out some altcoins, you guys, because you guys know that basically since Bitcoin broke 110,000 US dollars and the Bitcoin dominance started getting rejected at my 5.5-year range resistance, very close to the 786, and losing this upward trend, the Bitcoin dominance has been dropping, and I have been very excited to trade altcoins rather than Bitcoin. I mean, like I said, I am in a nice Bitcoin position. That's fine. But I am more interested in trading altcoins these days, just because I feel like for the phase of the market cycle that we are in, even if Bitcoin ends up topping out, I still think the altcoins have some room to run. And this is a big deciding factor on that, is the Bitcoin dominance, you guys. Yeah, we saw a little bit of a bounce in the Bitcoin dominance while the price naturally did the opposite, right? The price of everything was basically dropping the last few days. But Bitcoin dominance, it did end up just setting a new lower low, right? Because we had this low, lower low. That confirms this as our lower high. We never even quite got up to the 786 resistance here on this mini channel, or mini range on the downward trend here. So this trend, even the micro trend here, I know it is the daily, but even this low, this smaller trend on the downtrend has not even broken. So there's no signs of recovery on the Bitcoin dominance there, which is actually very good for the market. That means that Bitcoin is reacting in a healthy way without even any emphasis on it. It's basically climbing without even trying. So just to zoom out and show you why I think altcoins are set to rally and why I think they have a lot of fuel in the tank yet. Obviously, we're going to see those corrections just like we've seen over the last few days. But look at this chart, you guys. If this was a typical STU'S, notice that we got very close to that 786 resistance. Like I said, it's pulled from 5.5 years ago, and we aren't even at my 0.5 fib target yet. So that's not even the first target. And obviously this is a weekly chart, so it's going to take a very long time to play out. But that's exactly why I think there's still room for the altcoins to go, because if this is going to play out like any typical STU'S, I would expect us to end up getting down towards that 214 fib, which, yeah, like I said, we're not even halfway there. So something to consider there. Obviously, anything can change. We could just end up seeing this blast through the upside and people are panicking. They're getting out of the higher risk assets into the more stable ones. That's totally fine. It could happen. But at this point in time, there is no signs of that recovery for the Bitcoin dominance. So I think altcoins are in a very juicy position there. Let me just check the chat a little bit. Again, thank you so much for you guys being here. Yeah, FOMC didn't affect the charts much. I agree with that. It basically created a little volatility, but nothing changed. We just kind of saw a little pause, saw some volatility, and then carried on towards the upside so far. Sure hope 122 is coming soon. Honestly, I think it will. Obviously, I could be wrong on this. I mean, either way, at this point, my position is in such a beautiful profit. I think I saw it hit 600% yesterday. It's a 69x trade. So absolutely fine. Either way, I'm not going to take a loss. But at this point, I still really think that basically since we broke the micro trend, right? If we are treating this as my low, this as my lower low, this would be my confirmed lower high. And actually the AI charting tools also marked one out here. But either way, we broke that structure, right? So at that point, since we ended up breaking the microstructure, well, okay, we broke the small range. Then I'm going to zoom out to where's the bigger range? Where did this range begin? Well, that begins at where I pulled my fib from the top. So since the smaller range already got invalidated, now I'm expecting us to test the bigger range. So that's basically my thoughts on why I think we're going to hit at least this 786 here. Also, another thing, I just love when AI agrees with me. And to bring up the MDX ALGO master with the auto Stuber fibs, notice that they line up perfectly with how I pulled my fibs as well. And that's just fantastic confluence to have for me. So at this point, the only thing that would actually change my mind about this is if we end up losing this buy trend, right? We're holding this pink line for now and that weekly open. If we end up dropping this and flipping it into resistance and we end up printing a lower sell signal, at that point, I would assume that the bears are stepping in early and we need to consider the possibilities that we're going to see a much bigger correction, basically. Not necessarily a bear market. It's possible. But that's basically the next sign that I'm looking for that would make me feel a little less bullish, basically thinking that the bears are going to step in a little premature rather than getting up to macro resistance. That's all. So yeah, I don't think that's too much to ask. I guess we'll have to see what the market makers decide, but that's kind of what I'm expecting. I see in the chat, hype is on a mission. Absolutely. I'm going to talk about that in a sec as well. Ethereum, like I said, still have half of that position running. I mentioned that in my Telegram last night as well, I believe, or maybe it was just on my X account. Can't remember, but either way, still have half that position, still running strong. I see no reason to panic yet. Let's just see what the trend master is doing. We do have this higher buy signal. So basically, as long as we hold above the lowest point since that, so right about here, basically as long as we're holding above 4,200 US dollars, Ethereum's in a very nice position. And even though we ended up dropping below this buy signal here and getting a nice little wick to the downside, notice that already the bulls are trying to recover. We're trying to get back above. This 4-hour candle will close in a little over an hour and a half. And it's looking like it's trying to reclaim that. So Ethereum's still looking strong as well. Solana, you guys, oh, that is nice to see. You guys know that I have been quite bullish on Solana for quite a while now, since, I think around, what was it, 150, 160 US dollars. I think it was somewhere down here. Let me bring up the trend master. I think it was somewhere in this general area where I started talking about thinking that Solana was going to play catch up because Bitcoin had broke its all-time highs. Ethereum started testing its all-time highs. Solana was still very low in its macro range. And just like what I was just talking about with Bitcoin hitting 120,000 US dollars because of the macro 786, that's my same philosophy with Solana. Basically, I was expecting that, hey, Bitcoin and Ethereum both got to their macro resistance. I see no reason why Solana should be down here without also making that run towards its macro resistance. So you can see that ever since that, I mean, it has just been absolutely flying. So that's why Solana has also been one of my favorite coins to be scalping recently. But love to see that. See what the ALGO master is saying. That's actually not valid at this time. Trend master, you can see that same thing, right? As I was talking about higher trending signals, if they end up switching directions, anything like that. Notice that since here we had a higher sell signal, and also a higher buy signal and a higher buy signal. So as we see the trend master trending in a certain direction like that, I do not want to bet against that. I do not want to stand in front of that train. I just want to play the trend. And that's exactly what that indicator is the trend master. So when I'm looking at a trend, that is my favorite indicator to use. And so far, it has been absolutely nailing it with Solana here, as with many altcoins. But yeah, altcoins are just looking fantastic, you guys. As you just mentioned, Dan, hype on a mission. Hype is, well, during the stream, it very well may test a new all-time highs. That's all there is to it. Basically, since, what was it? The trend master once again ended up printing a beautiful signal and a retest around 17 US dollars. We're currently trading at 57 US dollars. Guys, that is massive. That is a 240% climb to the upside. And we have just been holding that trend master support. On top of that, we just continue to set higher highs and higher lows, right? Higher high, confirmed higher low. Higher high, confirmed higher low. Even if you wanted to say, you know what, technically this was a higher high, so then a higher high, this would be our higher low. So either way, no matter how you look at it there, the price just keeps setting higher highs, which is confirming higher lows on the way. And yeah, like I said, we are trading basically right at all-time highs right now on hype. So this thing has just been on an absolute moon mission. This has been one of my favorite coins to be trading for the last several months because it's just such an obvious uptrend. Anytime there's a dip, I'm looking for STU'S. Those of you in my Telegram channel, you know that hype has been one that I've been calling out trade setups on quite often for the last few months. So yeah, love to see it on the daily like that. Let's check out the 4 hour, same thing, right? We have higher trending buy signals. That's basically all there is to it. Where on the 4 hour, I don't think, well, yeah, basically since the bottoms around $9, we have not broke that trend. We have been setting higher buy signal, higher buy signal, higher buy, higher buy, higher buy. This trend is just so obvious. The MDX trend master is making it even more obvious when we have new invalidation points and that sort of thing. So this is absolutely fantastic. Let me just move this very slightly to our all-time highs here. Make that white. So yeah, basically the one thing to watch for would be, let's say we get a test, we break just slightly above this, but then lose this level and get a rejection on a retest, something like that. Yeah, it's absolutely possible that we see a correction on something like that. I am not interested in shorting a chart that looks like this. I'm not saying there isn't opportunities to do so. I have been having a good time trading the long side for the last couple months. And guys, this is one of those times where so many people were telling me when I got cautiously bearish at about 110 US or 110,000 US dollars for Bitcoin, I started getting bearish. That was only for a short window, right? A lot of people were telling me I was going to miss the bull market. Really, all I missed is, and I shouldn't even say I missed, but I ended up selling some Bitcoin at around 110,000 US dollars. I traded a bunch of that into Ethereum. I took some cash profits on that, and I traded some into Trollcoin, which I caught about a 25x on. So really, I didn't miss any, but a lot of people were telling me I was going to miss the bull market. And the thing is, you guys, I mean, when I was cautiously bearish at these levels here, even if we end up exploding from here and whatever, I was looking at, if we break 110, 115,000 US dollars, my bearish ideas are invalidated. And at that point, I'm going to get very bullish. And then to see the Bitcoin dominance drop, that only strengthened my case. So whereas right now, you know, I had a plan ahead of time that I had my bearish invalidations. I had my level of caution, or my range of caution rather. And basically after those red flags were broken, then I was ready to start aggressively trading this market to the upside. And a lot of those people who were telling me that, you know, I was wrong to do so and that I was going to miss the bull market, well, since then they have flipped very bearish. A lot of people saying the top is in, and I have been just absolutely crushing the longs. Like I said, I think I have about 9 positions open right now that are all over 50%, if I'm not mistaken. But I would have to go back and double check that because that's spread out across a few different accounts. But yeah, I have no complaints about trading the upside right now. I don't really care if I end up missing a move to the downside at this point. There will come a point where I'll start to hedge shorts again. But basically at this point, I still think that the market looks fairly good. And a big part of that, again, goes back to this Bitcoin dominance chart, you guys. Just absolutely beautiful. Hype, I want to check. What about the shorter time frames? Let's check out the 1 hour. Same thing. Obviously, we have a much higher buy signal. So as long as we're holding these lows, basically above 52 US dollars, hype is looking fantastic. I know that's about a 10% drop from here. So something to consider, that some of these ranges are a lot more volatile and bigger than they look at a quick glance. which also needs to be factored in when taking leverage positions. Always know how big of a loss you're going to take if things go south on your position. I would not be longing into resistance, for example, but if we break this level, that's where I would love to start longing retests of support, right? Something like that. Not saying it has to happen, but just being ready for those pullbacks if they do in fact happen. So yeah, hype is looking absolutely phenomenal on basically every single time frame that I look at. The only thing is obviously on the shorter time frames, yeah, I expect a pullback at some point. Basically, if we end up losing this, so again, even on the 5-minute, you guys look at this. As we set this buy signal, we end up invalidating the lower sell signal, right? After we break this level, we end up printing a higher buy signal, higher buy signal, higher buy signal. Every one of these was just an absolutely beautiful entry. I mean, I never took those, but just looking at this for what it is as one of my favorite strategies and using the Trendmaster, this has been absolutely fantastic. And this is just, again, a nice sign. Even if we end up, like I said, losing this support and let's say get a sell signal, that's where I would be looking for some sort of a retracement. And let's say our last buy signal, if we're going to continue this trend to the upside, I'd basically just be chasing the price with a Fibonacci at this point, kind of combining a couple strategies here, the Trendmaster with Fibs. But basically, if this is my invalidation down here, just basically looking for a Fib retracement if we're lucky enough to get it, kind of a thing. But that's kind of what I would be looking for at this point for some sort of a pullback. So still looking absolutely juicy on the 5-minute. I'm hoping we just smash through all-time highs and end up in a blue sky breakout at some point. But even if it just ends up continuing to basically slowly staircase higher the way that it's been doing on the 4-hour and the daily chart like this, I mean, hype, no matter what it does from here, even if there's pullbacks, it has done such a good job of slowly staircasing higher that just even if we see a bit of a dump, at least there is support below us, right? Whereas if this did something like this, then it is fairly likely that it's going to drop and retrace that entire move because there's no structure along the way. So I actually prefer, a lot of people are complaining that I wish the market would make up its mind and just pick a direction already. Understand the market's actually been performing quite healthy, and it's one reason why I think this bull market may last a little bit longer than the others. I don't know, obviously. I mean, I'm not a timing expert. I have no idea how long this bull market's actually going to run. Maybe it's damn near over. Maybe it's just getting started. I don't know. Everyone has their theories, right? I'm just going to wait for the chart to change structure. And in that case, I can react. But at this point, I mean, even Bitcoin, right? Even if, as we look at Bitcoin on the weekly, it's not like there's a parabolic move that if we start to lose one support level, we see a massive retracement, right? We've done such a good job of building structure on the way up, and then we just keep staircasing higher. So the market actually still looks pretty good. I love the fact that we're slowly staircasing higher. Obviously, it's less exciting for your open positions than if it were to just break out aggressively. But as far as the health of this market cycle, I think it's great that we're slowly staircasing and building support along the way. And like I said, that goes for hype, that goes for Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, everything's basically doing that. So, I mean, I personally like to see that. Pepe, yeah, I just basically mentioned this in my Telegram channel last night. Basically, I was looking at the daily, and this is a coin that kind of fell off my radar. I kind of forgot about it, but if meme coins are going to make a nice run, and Pepe has been one that has been known to make very volatile moves, I mean, this one's back on my list of coins to watch. I am in a long position today based off the shorter time frames. But yeah, last night I decided I should put this on my radar because, yeah, it's just kind of same thing, right? It's starting to build structure. The fact that, we broke a lot of this resistance here, right? Went higher and then even came back and starting to retest that resistance as support. So we're actually building some fairly nice structure there. As well as if I bring up the Trendmaster, how does this look? Actually, that is so this sell signal, this one here is slightly higher. if you look, it is still slightly higher. So we still have a higher sell signal. We still have higher buy signals. So as long as we hold our basically our low right here, the trend on the daily time frame still looks good. I want to take a look at the 4 hour to see what the trend master is saying as well. We do have lower trending buy and sell signals. However, something to consider with this is that downtrend of sell signals has broken, right? This would have been our last and lowest sell signal on the trend. And this would be where we pivoted there, basically, where that's where we got our rejection, followed by that sell signal. So basically, we ended up breaking that level. So even though we pulled back, at least that trend was broken. So at this point, as long as we hold above our new buy signal here, which just happens, the low, the pivot happens to be very close to a macro 886 there. But the trend is healthy as long as we end up holding this, basically. And so far, the fact that we broke that lower sell signal and now we're getting back above my pink line here and flipping it into support once again. I mean, obviously, we could get rejected at any time. However, so far, the trend is looking healthy, and that's the midterm, the long term, right? The 4 hour, the daily. So yeah, that is definitely a coin of interest for me at this point. And I actually laid this out. Maybe somebody in here, if any of you are in my Telegram, you can confirm. But I think we were trading somewhere in this area when I mentioned that, hey, if Pepe ends up dropping a little bit further, I'm hoping for support between the 786 and the 115, basically. So I hit 3 of my laddered entries, never quite hit my 4th one. But yeah, like I said, I actually tried to update my stop loss on that one, which would have stopped me out technically. But I got lucky and something didn't update there. Like I said, my service was a little spotty when I was away. But yeah, I can't really complain with that. I'm happy that happened. So yeah, Pepe looking great. Oh, I do see Brian in here. Perfect. Because the next chart I was going to look at was Supra. But I will look at Solana again if you missed my earlier analysis. And I don't think I looked at the daily. Well, I looked at the 4 hour and it was the same structure. But first I'm going to take a look at Supra for you. Actually, honestly, I don't really have to. Nothing has changed since last time we spoke about this one. We're still just getting very close to that 786 fib pocket. So we are technically getting quite close to support on a daily time frame here. But yeah, just kind of flatlining right now. I'm wondering if the 4 hour has, we have a buy signal. It's a lower buy signal, but we do have a buy signal and we're trying to get back above this blue line. You can see it almost flipped into a new lower sell signal, but we're getting back above that. So there's at least some signs of strength there. Let's see what the 1 hour says. The 1 hour, we're just basically chopping around sideways. This is basically a double bottom with these buy signals, actually slightly lower. But yeah, that one, not really much has changed. Never really got very volatile today at all, or even the last several days. But yes, Brian, I will take a look at Solana one more time. I'm going to look at the daily this time. And yeah, you're calling for approximately 260. 250 is basically getting, well, we actually already got, 50 cents shy of 250. I mean, 250 was my target, but that's a conservative target. Like I said, the 786 is just the start of resistance, and it's actually at about 253. The 886 is at about 274. So I think that as long as we can push above the 786, I think we're actually targeting above 270. And at that point, depending what the market's doing, I mean, again, that is the start of resistance. So we could even shoot all the way up towards the 115. Hell, we could actually break through it. Who knows, right? But the only way I would be considering looking for some sort of a short is if, let's say, we got a swing fail into that fib pocket from the 1 to the 115 fib. Basically between 297 and 327 US dollars. If we get into that pocket and then lose it and retest that level, the 297 approximately, I would be interested in taking a short and laddering into some shorts, something like this, in case we got another wick to the upside or whatever. Again, not saying that I would be bearish at that point. I would be just strictly looking at that as a risk reward setup. Just basically, since the loss would be so minimal, if I was laddering into something like this, and my average entry would end up somewhere in the middle. And basically, this is what I would be looking for, right? So that's where the risk reward gets very large, where the potential reward is quite large compared to the very small loss that you may take. Even further, if it retests the whole range, that's where you're looking at something like an 11-to-1 risk reward ratio. So obviously that whole move doesn't have to play out. Maybe it just gets somewhere like that. But either way, massive risk reward. That's the only reason I would be looking at shorting something like that. It's again, it's not that I would be bearish at all-time highs. It's just if we saw that swing fail rejection, a bit of a fake out, liquidity grab, whatever you want to call it, I would just be willing to hedge a short, if nothing else, at that point. XRP. I can look at XRP. If you like XRP, I may not be the guy you want to hear talk about it because I just think there's so much ridiculous hopium about this one. I have already made it very clear many times. If XRP breaks over $10 US this cycle, I will write down my own words and I will eat them live on live stream. Maybe that could be a pump fun theme. But no, realistically, anything is possible, obviously. Looking at the daily, I mean, XRP does love to rally really aggressively. At this point, we are holding a nice trend with the MDX Trend Master here, still holding us as support, so that looks good. I actually I want to look at a different chart. Actually, I want to leave this one open because I want to zoom into some lower time frames. But I also want to look at the full XRP chart on the weekly. Speaking of those swing fail zones, you know what? Honestly, doesn't look too bad at this point. So notice we got rejected in my swing fail pocket, but something to consider here is it's already happened once, right? This is one of those times where we tested up into that pocket, actually twice. You can see 2 weekly candles tested up into that red box there. And that is exactly what I was just talking about with Solana. If you see some sort of a rejection like that and shorting the retest, although we've gone higher now, notice that, I mean, that was a nice big correction to the downside. It even hit my 0.5 fib target there. How big was that correction exactly? That was basically a 50% correction to the downside out of that little swing fail there. So that's exactly why I was mentioning it on Solana. It's not so much that, hey, this is bearish, we're trading into all-time highs. It's just that, hey, as far as, first of all, getting that rejection and getting that retest, just the risk reward is so huge looking for that type of a short setup, right? Actually, I am curious what that would have been. That one wouldn't have been too big because it wouldn't have laddered into a heck of a lot. But you're still looking at about a 3-to-1 risk reward, even for the conservative target there. So yeah, love trading those fake outs, liquidity grabs, swing fails, whatever you want to call them, just because the risk is so tight on those. But going back to why I don't think this is necessarily that bad of a chart is, like I said, we've already tested this resistance once. So the fact that we're just testing it and retesting it here, I feel like if we keep tapping away at this, we're just asking to break through, you know. Also, at this point, if we were looking at the current trend, now this is the weekly time frame, so this is obviously a very big range. But even on the weekly, we have this as a high, this as a higher high. That means this is our confirmed higher low. So even if we saw some sort of a big pullback, we could pull a fib somewhere like that. And we would expect support to come in, well, basically from $2.10, anywhere from there down to 130. But that's obviously a huge range because it's a weekly. It's a massive time frame. But let's look at some shorter time frames. 4 hour, we do have lower trending sell signals and lower trending buy signals. That is a little bit of a warning to me. We are still holding this buy as support. However, again, just the fact that we have a lower sell signal, we're going to have to watch for resistance relatively soon. If I pull a fib from where we topped out here before getting our sell signal, pulling a fib, something like that, notice we got very close to the 786, never quite touched it. We may still get into that pocket and then see a rejection. But really, if we end up breaking this resistance back here and invalidating this recent sell, not that recent, I guess, when was this printed? Oh, actually at the middle of last month, basically. But yeah, basically, if we break that resistance, I think it would be a very nice sign for the strength in XRP. Let's check the 1 hour. I just want to zoom into some lower time frames because obviously the lower time frames are going to shift quicker. You know what? This is great to see. This is one of those times we have a much higher sell signal, much higher buy signal on the trend master. I'm actually going to delete this big massive fib here. Basically, the way I'm looking at this is where we had our most recent pivot for XRP. As long as it can stay above $2.95 approximately, this trend still looks great on the 1 hour. And notice we tried to flip this moving average to blue, like it was going to print another lower sell signal on the 1 hour, but we're back above that now, seeing some nice strength from the XRP bulls. So that's actually looking pretty good. I'm not going to lie. 5 minute. Let's see what things are saying on the 5 minute. Same thing, just printing higher buy signals, right? This buy signal, higher buy signal. So this little dump we got here, I assume that was during the meeting. We obviously did push lower. We would have broke our invalidation. Or if this was our buy signal, this would have basically been our invalidation. But that volatility is kind of expected during an FOMC meeting like that. But still, the trend master is trying to tell us that it is trending to the upside here. Even where we got our recent sell signal here, notice that we ended up breaking that. So even if we get a pullback at this point, I'd be interested in pulling a fib something like this. It's also very possible we don't even get that opportunity because with that new buy signal, we might actually see a fib pull something like this. I wouldn't really want to see us drop on the 5 minute chart, at least. I want to see the bulls defend $3 basically for XRP. As long as we're above $3, the low time frame trend is still looking fantastic. Can I put the new link for the new channel in this chat? Absolutely, my friend. For those of you interested, do me a favor, subscribe to that YouTube channel, because like I said, in about, well, at the end of the month, start of next month, I will be live streaming over there full time. For those of you who haven't been here for the whole stream, you're just catching up. I will be doing my public live streams on my own new YouTube channel, the Crypto Trading Channel. It's still powered by Financial Summit. We're still partnership there, still partnered through BloFin as well. So nothing really changes, you guys. My members in my Telegram are still getting these wonderful bonuses from my partners at BloFin. Nothing like that changes. So do yourselves a favor. If you guys do want to see more examples of how I pull Fibonacci's, how I trade my indicators, how I look at market structure, some of my trade setup ideas and theories, my overall thoughts on the market in general, do yourselves a favor, scan that QR code on the screen and get in my private Telegram where I just share some of my thoughts, some of my setups, all that sort of good stuff, my friends. Yeah, what else? A couple other things I wanted to look at quick. Doge is another one that caught my attention recently. You guys know that in a lot of these public live streams, I actually back here, I was talking about this beautiful fib back here. I actually had a much bigger one outlined as well. But either way, we're seeing Stuber fibs forming on the 4 hour, on the daily. Doge has been performing quite well. as well, these buy signals, right? Basically a double bottom of these buy signals, not necessarily a higher one here, but either way, it ended up holding as support beautifully. We invalidated this level here because we set a new high there. 4-hour chart, I'm just assuming we have higher trending buy signals at this point. Actually, no. However, again, even though these are lower buy signals, we did invalidate this because we broke the lower sell signal, and we are still holding this buy support. So Doge still looking pretty good too. I've heard rumors about a ETF with Doge as well. You guys know I'm not as into the fundamentals and, you know, playing the news and that sort of thing. But the chart in general has a beautiful trend. So Doge is one, again, when looking at meme coins, I mean, it's been around for all the cycles. It has made a name for itself. I don't see it disappearing anywhere. And I mean, it is trending beautifully right now. So love to see that. So Doge is also going to be on my list of altcoins that I want to start trading, just following a little closer on lower time frames and that sort of stuff. Meme coins. Speaking of meme coins, I do want to take a look at Troll as well. It is coiling up in a massive wedge, basically since the start of August. Yeah, a fairly big pullback, right? If we go from the highs to where it's bottomed so far, I mean, that's a 60% correction to the downside. So that's something to consider, you guys, with meme coins and low market cap coins. Understand that they're very, very volatile, which can be dangerous. Always understand bankroll management. Understand, you know, if you're looking at taking leverage positions, especially understand how far your invalidation is, and you know, where your liquidation levels are and that sort of thing. Mostly trading this on spot for myself. I do have a running long position though. But yeah, I would love to see this falling wedge break to the upside. I would love to see something like a nice third touch point followed by a break and retest and moon to the upside. I would love to see that. I think that would be very healthy, but so far we're just still coiling up. We did actually today during the volatility, we tested into my Stu'S fib pocket that I've had outlined here, pulled from our current lows of this range. So I love to see that we found that support so far. Mask, cat with mask, same thing. I've been talking about this one a little bit. This is a much smaller market cap, so very high risk. I think it's around a $7 million market cap only. But we are trading basically inside a very large first Stu'S fib on the 4-hour of this coin. Now, that's something that I was talking about on Troll months ago, you guys, before it ended up just absolutely taking off. I am not saying it needs to play out the same. However, the chart has a lot of similarities where we had this big Stu'S fib, we traded sideways. And guys, I mean, this traded sideways for months before it all of a sudden broke out, and boy, did it ever break out, right? So not saying Mask has to do something, not saying it has to do the same thing, but I'm really, just as far as the chart goes, I'm hopeful that it'll at least gain some sort of traction there. So again, high risk, low market cap, meme coin, all the signs of being a degen and trading something that's high risk, but that's also spot, obviously not leverage with something so small. Pepe is still climbing to the upside. Absolutely on a mission since testing that Stu'S. Absolutely love to see it. Brian just subscribed to my new channel. Right on. Thank you, brother. Looking forward to doing it, you guys. I mean, just look at that beautiful logo. And just, I don't know how we scored that name. Absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, can't wait to start doing my live streams over there, you guys. It's going to be a fantastic time. Oh, Bitcoin getting up to my 214 target. Beautiful to see as well. Obviously, if you took a long earlier, maybe some of you guys in my Telegram, or just people who follow these streams, maybe you're getting the hang of these Stu'S fibs pretty good. Maybe you find yourself in a long position from this. Don't forget to pay yourself if you did take this, because obviously we've hit our first target and basically our second target here. So very important in trading, you guys, to when you enter a position, when you come up with your take profit levels, set those take profit orders. I know a lot of people want to be greedy and not take those profits and say, hey, right now, hey, we're testing that target. I want to see what happens before I make a decision. And you carry on with your day, do something, you look again and the price is down here and you're wondering what to do. You bump your stop to break even and you basically just avoid your loss, but don't necessarily take those profits. And if you're not consistently taking profits on positions when they do work out in your favor, that is going to really have a negative impact on your account, because if you're playing certain probabilities and you are just basically you have your risk reward setups and so on, if you're not actually taking your profits at those levels, then the next trade, when you do take a loss, you don't have that cushion and so on, right? So it is important to take profits when you hit your take profit levels. But at the same time, guys, I'm a big fan of laddering into positions, right? A typical Stuber fib. I love laddering into positions, and I also love laddering out of positions. I love to, well, basically I trade the range first, as I mentioned earlier, because I mean, typically speaking, crypto, Bitcoin, really any asset, stocks as well, Forex as well. Generally speaking, you are ranging in some sort of a range more than you're actually on a complete breakout. And that goes for both directions, right? So generally speaking, there's a lot more chopping around sideways. So it's, in my opinion, it's important to play the range first. But if you catch that breakout, then that's a fantastic position to be in. Like I said, I'm in about, I think, 8 or 9 long positions right now that are still running. All of the, I guess Jupiter would be my oldest one from a few weeks ago. But then even my Bitcoin position, been in this since September 1st. I just love having some positions running like this, because if something comes up, whatever, I can't trade tomorrow, I still have a bunch of positions open. I am in a very stress-free position right now with how much chaos there was in the market, with everyone panicking about this big meeting and all that sort of stuff. I just approached it with a level head. I didn't even care about the meeting. I took some more profits off some of my running positions and basically carried on. No problem, no concern, no stress. It's a great position to be in. So, yeah. And you guys, like I said, for those of you who are interested in trading based on charts, you want to see more examples of my strategies, some of my trade setup ideas, more examples of how I view market structure, and you just want more of my thoughts on the market in general, do yourselves a favor. Scan the QR code on the screen to get access to trading on BloFin under me, and thus getting access to my Telegram channel. And like I said, my partners at BloFin, very good at keeping all of my followers up to date with some nice deposit and trading volumes there as well. Sometimes there's new members only, but generally speaking, they give all of my members some beautiful, beautiful bonuses there. So if that is something that interests you, get involved there. BTC going vertical on the 1 minute, you say? Yeah, we got through my 214 target. We're still going to have some resistance up here, potentially, right? I wouldn't want to be longing into resistance, because if we pull a fib from the top of this range, notice where we are right now, just starting to test resistance. I have no interest in shorting this, but if I was in a long from more of a scalp long from the bottom of this range, I would absolutely be taking some profits here just in case. Basically, that resistance runs to a little over 117.6K, basically 117,666. So basically here we have my Stuber fib pocket. I'll make that pink or purple, whatever color that is. And as well, that swing fail liquidity grab zone from the 1 to the 115 fib, basically. So there is some potential resistance right here, trading at the 786 resistance right now as I speak. So yeah, be careful. Obviously, when charts like this look like they're going vertical, understand that the charts always look strongest at resistance and they always look weakest at support. So don't be too surprised to see a little bit of a pullback soon, whether it's from this fib pocket here or we even get a little bit higher. Wouldn't be too crazy to see a bit of a rejection the first test of resistance, basically. So be a little bit cautious with that. But yeah, all in all, I mean, it still looks good. It's just be aware of resistance when we're approaching it, because so many people love longing something like this and say, well, what if it breaks out? Well, if it breaks out, fantastic. But let's check what that risk reward would be like if, let's say, you longed right into the 786 and invalidation, and I don't know, your target, who knows where your target is, but that's where you start to get a really, really poor risk reward setup. And that's exactly why I don't like longing into resistance. I don't like trading breakouts. I think breakout trading is very risky. There is certain ones that I play with trend lines, but I have very specific criteria with how many times it's touched and all that sort of thing, and retests. But for the most part, I like to wait for those structure breaks followed by a pullback, which is exactly why I love trading Fibonacci's, because they make it so systematic, right? To be a successful trader, you basically need a systematic trade strategy that you can actually repeat over and over. If you're going on a gut feeling and you're saying, you're just kind of winging it that, hey, this looks weak, I'm going to short. Hey, this looks strong, I'm going to long. That can end up in a bad time if you don't understand your actual mathematical probabilities, because that's all it is. It's not that as a trader, we don't have to win every trade. By no means is that a thing. Nobody wins every trade, but a big part of trading is controlling those losses. And that's exactly why I like pullbacks before entering a position. Like right now, I would rather short this than long this. I'm not doing that. I want to be clear about that. I am not doing that. I do not want to short. Just where we are specifically right now, we are trading into potential resistance. That's all. But yeah, let's see. I want to go back and look at Pepe one more time. Oh yeah, still climbing. Absolutely beautiful, you guys. Loving this handful of positions that I am in right now. This is fantastic. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. Hopefully you guys found this stream useful. If so, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss these live streams. And as I mentioned, guys, be sure to subscribe to my new channel, because by the end of the month, I will be doing all of these live streams there. Like I said, next week, I'll probably do half and half, where I'll start my streams on the Financial Summit. Then I will move over to the crypto trading channel for the bulk of it, just until we really get things going full time over there. But yeah, still, like I said, everything with my private Telegram, with my BloFin promotions, none of this changes. The partnerships are all the same, just basically Financial Summit giving me my own channel, because rather than, mostly Bitcoin trading or, longer term Bitcoin trading, I just want to trade everything, lower time frames, longer time frames, altcoins, Bitcoin, meme coins, you name it, anything crypto related. So that's why the crypto trading channel. Do yourselves a favor, subscribe to that. I will just post it in the chat one more time here, so please do me a favor, subscribe to that. And yeah, as mentioned, please do me a favor, like this video as well. If you appreciate these live streams, you appreciate me showing you some of my favorite personal trading strategies, how I use indicators, how I pull fibs, how I look at market structure, all that sort of good stuff. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And like I said, you want access to more examples of how I'm looking at the charts, do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code on the screen. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.